How much is the total NASA budget compared to your tax dollar? It is less than 0.4% of your tax dollar. If I cut off 0.4% from the width of this dollar, it doesn't even get into the paint. And you want to trim NASA to save federal expenditures? Really? Is that what's happening there? Now, I'm a scientist. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe. Sure. I'll give you that.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stay inside right now because the mosquitoes are out en masse. I hate bugs, and I particularly hate mosquitoes. I happened to see something on Star Talk today by DeGrasse Tyson, and Dr. Tyson was talking about the cutting of funding for NASA. Understandably, look, I think what NASA does is really, really cool. I've been a NASA junkie. I've been a space junkie my entire life. Very much an amateur historian of NASA. A couple of my videos, kind of show that. But Dr. Tyson, as much as I respect him, I think kind of has this a little bit wrong. He doesn't get everything the way, he's got one perspective. I'll go ahead and grant him his perspective. But he's not showing the other perspective. He's talking about the percentage of NASA's budget. This is what NASA's budget is for. And talks about these are the benefits that we have gotten from previous expenditures. He even brought up the subject of Vannevar Bush. Mispronounced his name, but understood. Look, here's a little piece of side advice for all you guys. Okay? Whenever you see somebody who mispronounces things, here's the word, but the person mispronounces it. This person is someone who reads. Yeah, that's the person who reads. When you see somebody who has perfect pronunciation of things, but has crappy spelling, crappy grammar, that's a person who listens to the radio, watches TV, or watches or listens to podcasts, that kind of thing. Doesn't do a lot of reading. Dr. Tyson reads. Hence, it's perfectly understandable why the hell he would mispronounce a name like Vannevar Bush. Digression over. Sorry, I just noticed my ear tape was crooked. What Neil deGrasse Tyson did was talk about what the percentage of the budget was of the United States for NASA. And how, even that budget has decreased as far as a percentage of the budget. The problem that we have is that while NASA was one of 50 cuts that we had back in 1959, well, NASA is now just one part of that death by a million cuts. NASA does fund things besides space exploration. NASA does fund much when it comes to basic science. Let's talk about the differences between basic science, applied science, and technology. Basic science is that which does nothing more than advance human knowledge. There is no profit motive that is associated with it. Anything that basic science does is subject to peer review, which means you have to tell people what you did. This is how you did it. That's basic science. Basic science becomes really, really, really difficult because there is no profit motive associated with it. Think of the Hubble Space Telescope. What does the Hubble Space Telescope do? It doesn't just take pretty pictures. The Hubble Space Telescope allows us to understand the formation and the foundation and the creation of the universe itself. That doesn't do much for day-to-day life. Applied science is taking basic science and saying, what are the applications for this knowledge that we just obtained? Basic science, E equals mc squared, Einstein. Applied science, we can convert mass into energy. That means that we can build nuclear power plants. That's applied science. Once again, not really a profit motive associated with it, but there is some idea that is necessary when it comes to it. After that, we have technology. Technology, I kind of, mostly it's engineering. We have E equals mc squared that tells us that mass can be converted into energy. We have the applied science that tells us, hey, we can use this to generate power. Technology is, now there's money involved in this. We can build a nuclear power plant. That is research and development. How can we can take this now and we're going to create a working model of it, and we will sell this energy to make money from it. That's where intellectual property comes in. Those are the differences between basic science, applied science, and technology. Technology, research and development. Personal political opinion, as a libertarian, yeah, government should not be funding research and development. Of course it does, that's called defense spending. And all kinds of other spending, because the U.S. has this national interest in making sure that it is better at, it has the ability to kill a lot of people a lot more easily than others. When looking at what Dr. Tyson said, he looked at Vannevar Bush and how his thoughts and his ideas, his creation, National Academy of Sciences, how to fund the sciences, how government can take people and fund grants so that people could do the basic research, which led to the applied science, which led to the technology. This was a great idea and a great thing back in the 1940s, the 1950s. But we also understand that this is not the 1940s anymore. It's not the 1950s. What Vannevar Bush's idea did was it created this pyramid that allowed people to advance. It created these advanced professorships. It funded them. When you look at the news of Trump is cutting the endowments for these professorships, etc., that's government funding of these things. And the sad side effect of this is that at this point, what we've got in this world right now is that we have the circumstance now where there is a very steep pyramid with very little room at the top. And there just is not a lot of room for advancement. They create these professorships. They get this. Create it, try to find something, but the professor's job now is to obtain government grants in order to pay for that professor's position over at a university. It's created kind of this sick sort of a thing that goes on with it that has gone. There is some benefit, but right now, Vannevar Bush's system has reached kind of the limits of what it is that it can do, and some changes need to be made with it. So while I can see and respect what Dr. Tyson had to say, Dr. Tyson's perspective is unfortunately kind of stuck in the past. There has to be some advancement. Dr. Tyson's head of the Hayden Planetarium. He made it there on the basis of his own merit and what it is that he can do. And once again, I love the guy because of what he does as far as science education and his outreach. Fantastic, compelling speaker. And a knowledgeable guy at that. However, I would invite Dr. Tyson to go ahead and tell the world, what changes would he like to see to this system? What does he think can be done to make the funding of basic science, which again, the libertarian in me can understand, there's no profit motive in it. So fund some basic science. What would he suggest as far as basic science goes? how to change that system in order to get some more bang for the buck. I think he can do it. Prove me wrong.